8 years since the end of the war. Commemorating war heroes, the President reassures that there is no threat to national security. Building in Wellawattha deemed an illegal construction. Urban Council to file legal action. Delay in instructions from the Attorney General stalls investigations into land owned by Yoshitha Rajapaksa. Group of robbers who attempted to flee without heeding police orders arrested.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Krishan Devasagayam.
And I'm Azra Hassan. Let's now take a look at the stories in detail. The National War Heroes Commemoration Ceremony was held today under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Garu Janadhipatitumange.
Organised by the Ranaviru Services Authority, the National War Heroes Commemoration was held at the War Heroes Memorial located in close proximity to the Parliament. The event was graced by politicians, high-ranking security forces personnel and the families of war heroes and students.
Sri Lanka, Namo, 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 Namo Mata.
Religious observances were held in remembrance of the military personnel who made the ultimate sacrifice on the battlefield. Religious observances were followed by a 2-minute silence.
Buddhang saranang saranangacha.
Dutiyampi Buddhang sarana varano tribandhevo.
Sivasri Lakshmikant Jagadish Kurkar.
Wa ashhadu anna Muhammad.
Ema nidahase suya.
Today is the National Day where we remember and commemorate the fearless war heroes who sacrificed their lives in order for us to regain and establish our independence. The incumbent government has provided and is carrying out a number of programs for the welfare of our soldiers. The national initiative to provide a house to every soldier is being carried out by our government. Efforts are underway to develop and train the present members and staff of the Tri-Forces with the latest technology available so that our future generations will benefit from it. Even though continuous criticism is levelled at the members of our forces and claims are made that our forces are too large and that it needs to be reduced, the government is dedicated towards strengthening the Tri-Forces as part of its duty of maintaining and safeguarding the national security of the country. Floral tributes were made to the fallen war heroes. The families of the fallen war heroes also engaged in making floral tributes. The 18th of May 2009 was the last day of the humanitarian mission launched by the security forces to free the country from the ruthless 30-year war. The people living in the north and the east, as well as the south and the west, were battered by the war over a long period of time. The loss of life and the barricades that were put up were common signs that reminded the people of the devastation that was caused. The massive barricades that were put up in Omante and Muhamale are today no more. People can now move in peace wherever they want. 8 years after the conflict, the development in the affected areas continue. The Yal Devi train that connects the south and the north and vice versa is a sign of the true reconciliation that is taking place in the country at present. The time has come to learn from the past. In another headline-making story this evening, Commissioner of the Colombo Municipal Council, V.K. Anura, says that the building that collapsed in Wellawattha was an illegal construction. The Commissioner stated that legal action will be taken against the owner of the building.
24 people were injured after a reception hall located in close proximity to the Savoy Cinema in Wellawattha collapsed last morning. A person was rescued from the debris last evening after hours of extensive operations. However, he died soon after he was been admitted to the hospital. The victim was a 31-year-old resident of Kolongoda in Hasalaka. Relatives of 2 people who are considered missing in the debris arrived at the site of the incident today while the rescue operations are continuing.
There is no permission to construct this close to the reserve of the canal. This is the reserve of the canal. The building that collapsed was constructed on it. It was on the edge of the canal. This is illegal. The V-shaped area that we provided approvals for have sunk in, but the collapsed area is completely illegal. The 7-story reception hall had been constructed without any approval from the CMC. I personally wrote to the IGP to arrest the owner under the penal code.
The National Building Research Organisation inspected the collapsed building this evening. From what we see, there is steel that has SLS certificate and some that have been imported. We cannot tell the strength of the imported steel. A lab test needs to be conducted. We can see an issue in the columns as well. We do not know the kind of solution used to lay the foundation. We will hold investigations.
I inspected the area this morning. It can be clearly seen that the construction has not been done according to the approved plan. The illegal constructions in Colombo have exceeded 10,000 now. If they are produced, we will file legal cases against all of them. If a construction is done on a plot of land belonging to the government, I will demolish it. The Urban Development Authority understood this and conducted surveys in this area from the 1st of February. We have received 1,800 complaints of illegal constructions and settlements. This threat is heavily reported from Dehiwala, Mount Lavinia and Kolonnava areas. There is a delay in the law. When the law is enacted, what needs to happen has happened. The country needs a system where the law is enacted fast to control things like this.
The Department of Meteorology forecasts heavy downpours across the country in the coming week. Last night's rainfall inundated Colombo in a matter of minutes.
During the 24-hour period that ended at 8:30 this morning, Colombo recorded a rainfall of 92.2 millimeters. By this morning, the roads in Mattakulia were completely flooded. Most roads in Colombo were flooded yesterday afternoon and evening. Uprooted trees caused severe traffic congestion on some roads. The breakaway of the riverbank close to the Kohilavatta Public Cemetery on the Ambatale-Totalanga main road hampered vehicular movement. The heavy rainfall blocked the stormwater drains in Nagahamulla, Kolonnava. Following last night's rainfall, 70 families living around the Meetotamulla garbage dump have been evacuated to safety. A canal was constructed and now water is flowing. Authorities must take into account the weather before making decisions. On the 18th of May last year, a torrential downpour flooded Kolonnava, Sedavatta, Vallampitiya, Ambatale, Kotikavatta and Madinnagoda, affecting 20,000 families. We believe the monsoon affecting the country will become very active by the 26th of May. During that period, we forecast heavy rainfall for the southwestern areas in the country. Other areas will experience thunder showers in the evening. However, we are positive that areas surrounding hydropower plants will receive a considerable rainfall. A single rainfall inundated the whole of Colombo. After property loss is reported, the government releases statements that such things will never happen again and all illegal constructions will be removed. They said the Kalni River will be widened and drains will be cleaned. But have these been done? The country's issues are like a soda bottle. We never have solutions to these issues. The project to manage wastewater will be completed in another 2 years. Then all the issues in the city of Colombo will be resolved. During the next 3 years, we have planned to conduct a tunnel system and expand the waterways in order to manage floodwaters. These tasks will be completed by the end of 2019.
The much anticipated GSP Plus concession which Sri Lanka regained from the European Union comes into force from today. The Generalized System of Preferences, or GSP, is a preferential tariff system awarded to developing nations such as Sri Lanka to export goods to European markets at lower tariff rates. Under this tariff system, Sri Lanka has the opportunity to export 6,200 items to the European Union tax-free. Following the devastating 2004 Boxing Day tsunami, Sri Lanka was awarded the GSP Plus concession for a period of 3 years. However, the lack of progress by the earlier government in 27 international agreements, including the fields of human rights, labour laws, environment conservation and good governance, led to Sri Lanka losing the GSP Plus concession on the 15th of August 2010. The The GSP Plus concession, which comes into effect today, will be implemented until 2021. The 9.6% duty charged when exporting garments to the European Union will now be removed. Around 33% of Sri Lanka's exports are directed to the markets of the European Union. A number of exporters held a discussion with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe with regard to the decision made by the EU yesterday.
No less than 3 days since the tax concession was announced, we are seeing the fruits of the agreement. Our customers are contacting us and booking our access capacities. We hope to generate an additional annual turnover of 250 to 300 million.
Additional turnover. GSP Plus.
We became eligible to receive GSP after the European fishing ban was lifted. Our industry saw a positive outcome of 18 to 22% when we were receiving the GSP. So we are looking forward to the positive responses from us regaining the concession.
If we are to progress as a country, we need to increase our exports. Before we create new exports, we need to establish our existing products. Let us reach that level first. However, I will not be satisfied with that alone. During the next few years, the profitability of our exports as well as the income generated by the employees in the industry needs to grow. With overtime, I think workers would be able to earn a salary of between 40 to 45,000. I am not forcing anyone, but we have to go that distance. Otherwise, our people will abandon our factories and look for more lucrative employment opportunities in factories overseas. This will be detrimental not only to the export sector, but all sectors in general. We cannot bring foreign labour. We need to manage with the human resources we have, whether we like it or not. That is the reality of the situation.
Counter-terrorism bill. We want to see the final product. There may be concerns that are justified, I'm sure. Definition of terrorism. The list of offences seems to be a very long one. GSP Plus trade concession. There are no salient failures. There's certainly room for improvement, and that's why we have got the monitoring mechanism.
Sri Lanka's relationship with India came under discussion at the joint opposition media briefing today.
We did not have an Indian mania. Some people must be having it. I personally think India is the soul of Asia. We are affectionate towards India. We do not hate India, nor do we oppose India. When it comes to our land, our jobs, our resources and our trade, we want to protect the integrity of our country. We do not want to agree to any activity that would harm or limit the unity of our nation.
The UNP and the Good Governance government came into the country as if they were economic experts. They have created a situation where no one can survive. Like pawning your wife's jewellery, this government is selling everything. These are national crimes. Ranil Wickremesinghe does not travel to China for the development of Sri Lanka. He goes there to sell the property of the country. He is going to India to do the same. Prime Minister Modi comes here to claim ownership.
Police arrested 5 suspects fleeing a robbery in the Habarana town. The suspects had refused to obey police orders to halt. During their attempt to evade arrest, their getaway car had crashed, injuring 1 police officer. Police had pursued the getaway car from Kadugannava and deployed spot barricades in the Habarana town. Their attempts to flee from police was captured on closed-circuit TV cameras installed in the vicinity. The car, which sped off towards Habarana on the Trincomalee road, crashed onto a bowser, injuring 1 police officer. The suspects were thereafter arrested in Trincomalee, Sevanagama and Galloya. The injured officer was rushed to the Habarana hospital and was thereafter transferred to the Polonnaruwa General Hospital. The suspects are residents from Maligavatta, Kattankudi, Balikanda and Kirulapana. Police said that this organised criminal gang had used cars obtained on rent to commit their crimes. At the time of arrest, these suspects had already committed thefts in Nittambua and Kadugannava. Police said that their getaway car was registered to a resident from Atulkote. A resident from Maligavatta had obtained that car on rent and released it on rent to the organised criminal gang.
Police are probing the incident where shots were fired at its personnel in Pali, Kilinochchi last night. A police mobile patrol came under fire last night in Kacharvali, Pali.
The mobile unit was engaged in its daily patrol between Iranamadu and Muhammale when it came under fire. 4 officers were in the vehicle at the time of the incident. However, none of the officers were injured in the incident, nor did the vehicle sustain damage. While 3 shots had been fired from a T-56 rifle, parts of the firearm were found later. Police said that investigations are underway in the area. Now, following a media briefing held in Colombo this morning, journalists quizzed Minister Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca on national security. People who walk with their eyes and ears closed can assume that nothing is happening. The manner in which they incarcerated soldiers, the manner in which they exacted revenge from our families must be a celebration for them. I think that is what those people are trying to do tomorrow. That must be a celebration for them.
MP Sivaji Lingam said that a genocide week is to be declared and has warned the president to refrain from visiting the north and the east during the time period. What do you have to say for that?
Sivaji Lingam කියන්නේ නිකන් අර මේ මීයක් රාබීලා අර පූසා බලලල්ලලා පොළවේ ගැහුවා කියලා කියනවා කියලා තර්ජනය කරා වගේ වැඩක් තමයි සිවාජි ලිංගම් කියන පුද්ගලයා කරන්නේ.
There is no one in the north who listens to him. He is a politician who is lost and rejected. Just because he speaks gibberish, I do not think the national security of the country is compromised.
Shots were fired at a mobile patrol unit in Muhammale.
A week ago, shots were fired at a police vehicle in Piliandala as well. Before that, Kalutara prison guards were murdered. There can be gangs responsible for these heinous crimes all over the island. As far as we know, such groups exist in the north as well. That is the duty of the police, to apprehend them and mete out the necessary punishment. We do not consider the wrongs committed by them as threats to the national security of the country.
In more local news, over the past year, Parliament has approved over 2.66 billion rupees in supplementary estimates for ministers and parliamentarians to purchase vehicles.
3 supplementary estimates were produced and passed in Parliament over the past year. June 7th, 2016, 1.18 billion rupees. Through this supplementary estimate, several ministers had requested funds to purchase 2 vehicles each. 26th November 2016, 2 supplementary estimates. The estimates called for 791.5 million rupees to purchase vehicles for 28 individuals, including deputy ministers and state ministers. 24th March 2017, 370 million rupees. Funds requested to purchase 9 vehicles for ministers and deputy ministers. 5th May 2017, 320 million rupees. The estimate requested funds to purchase vehicles for a group of persons, including 6 ministers. These supplementary estimates are being produced in a backdrop where each member of parliament receives a permit to import a vehicle tax-free. Through one such tax-free permit, you could import a vehicle valued at $62,500. If taxes are imposed on such permits, the state stands to earn nearly 33 million rupees. However, the parliamentarians are only required to pay a sum of 1,750 rupees to the state in taxes. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Gayantha Karunatilaka revealed during a cabinet media briefing on the 30th of November 2016 that 223 members of parliament out of 225 had obtained tax-free vehicle permits. In addition to the permit, the government allocates 3 vehicles, including an official vehicle, to cabinet ministers, deputy ministers as well as state ministers. Meanwhile, the government also releases official vehicles for the minister's private secretary, media secretary, 2 coordinating secretaries and public relation officers. In such a backdrop, it was revealed recently that 92 parliamentarians had opted to sell their tax-free vehicle permit. The government has prepared a scheme through which parliamentarians can obtain these permits and sell them off for 20 or 30 million rupees. The sale of these permits is a waste of valuable state funds. Taxes that should go to the state, the people, are being lost because of this. The only solution for this is to create a system which is fair on everyone. The government has allocated 1,200 million rupees to bring down luxury vehicles for ministers and MPs. Is this good governance, or are they simply being self-serving? What they promised and what they are practicing are two completely different things. How many vehicles must you deploy during an election campaign? Some people sell their properties and get into a lot of problems. I believe it is much more honorable to sell such permits and earn some money for these needs rather than stealing public funds. Through the sale of these permits, they are fraudulently earning the tax money that should rightfully go to the state. The state is paying ransom to keep the parliamentarians quiet and minding their own business. If engaging in politics is difficult, and if the expenses are too high, and if it is difficult to survive without selling off your permits, then why enter politics at all? It's better if you stay back at home and engage in a job or plough a field. They know very well that when they enter parliament, they receive permits which they could sell in order to cover their election expenses.
It has been a month since the tragedy in Meetotamulla. The people affected are still going through hardships. They are yet to receive houses or compensation. The people affected by the Samasara landslide are yet to receive homes. Look into the plight of these people. These ministers do not go to these places. What we can see today is that the members of the good governance government are also going down the same path taken by the VIP politicians who rule this country for the past decade. These heartless politicians do not show any empathy to these people and are simply following their predecessors.
පහුගිය කාලේ දේශපාලන ප්‍රභූන් ගමන්ගත් මාර්ගයේම ගමන් කරමින් තිබෙනවා.
Transactions that Perpetual Treasuries Limited entered into in 2015 raised concerns at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry today. Newsfirst, Zulfiq Farzan reports.
Well, this morning when the commission convened once again, evidence from Vasantha Dialwis was recorded in camera. Therefore, journalists including myself and members of the general public were requested to leave the premises for a short while until sessions were adjourned for around 1 hour, and thereafter, when the judges returned back to the commission premises, the commission convened once again. When the commission reconvened after recess, Deputy Solicitor General Milinda Gunatilaka presented the evidence pertaining to the transactions of the primary and secondary markets from 2015 and 2016. The additional director of IT at the central bank, Vasantha Alvis, explained the contents in the documents. Most of the transactions in these documents were by or on behalf of Perpetual Treasuries Limited. The Deputy Solicitor General also led evidence to show that Perpetual Treasuries Limited had entered into repurchase agreement transactions with the Employees Provident Fund in March 2015. He noted that as the return price for these transactions were the same, the system had not recorded any interest component for the EPF on those transactions. President's counsel Nihal Fernando, appearing on behalf of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, objected, citing that the evidence created a misunderstanding that his client had obtained free money from the EPF. The Deputy Solicitor General responded saying that the evidence did show that on occasions there are some transactions between Perpetual Treasuries Limited and the EPF where there was an interest component. President's counsel Nihal Fernando said that he would bring experts to elaborate on the evidence. The Attorney General's department called on Perpetual Treasuries Counsel to bring his client Arjun Aloysius to provide an explanation. The Commission announced that it will be calling Arjun Aloysius to testify. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into the issuance of Treasury bonds will convene again on the 5th of June 2017.
Now in some news just coming in, according to the Director General of Civil Aviation, HMC Nimal Siri, a Qatar Airways flight on a Boeing 787-800 Dreamliner aircraft carrying the flight number QR841 and carrying 202 passengers from Phuket, Thailand to Doha, Qatar made an emergency landing at the Bandaranaike International Airport at around 8:40 p.m. today due to a fire on board the aircraft. The BIA declared a full emergency in preparation for the handling of the flight. However, the plane has landed safely.
Following days fighting for her life, the young girl injured in the Piliandala shooting has passed away. A second tragic death of a young child has been reported following an elephant attack. 2 adults have also been killed in a road accident and 52 people were injured.
The 11-year-old girl injured in the drive-by shooting of Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau personnel in Piliandala died early this morning at the National Hospital in Colombo. Director of the hospital, Anil Jasinghe, said she was transferred from the Kalubowila Teaching Hospital to Colombo on Wednesday after she was examined by a team of neurologists.
අපි කරුණාකර ඉන්න වගේගේ උත්තංගෙන් නැති වෙච්ච කෙනා නැති වුණා. ඉන්න කෙනා හරි රටගෙන ඉහිල්ලා හරි අපිට සනීප කරලා දෙන්න. අම්මා තාත්තා කෙනෙක් නොකානබි දවස් 10ක් තිස්සේ අඬන ඉන්න හොස්පිටල් එකට වෙලා.
The body of the girl was moved to her residence. A head-on collision between 2 buses in Kiadua on the Akurasa Gaul main road left 52 people injured. Police said 6 of the injured were transferred from the Akurasa hospital to the Matara General Hospital due to the complications in their injuries. 2 people died when a van fell down a precipice in Thaldana Badulla. The identity of one of the victims is yet to be established and the other is reported to be a resident from Padangala, Suryababa. A third person was injured in the accident and is being treated in the ICU of the Badulla General Hospital. A 5-year-old girl died after being attacked by a wild elephant in Galkiriyagama Davulla. Her 1.5-year-old sister and 52-year-old grandmother suffered injuries in the attack. The wild elephant attacked them when they were on their way to school.
මේ කැලේ කරවිලගල හන්දියේ ඉඳලා මහත්තයා මෙතන සියඹල ගස් දෙකක් තියෙනවා සියඹල ගස් දෙක ගාව ඉඳලා නිතරම අලි ගැවසෙන ස්ථානයක් තමයි මේ ටික මේ මෙතන ඉඳලා කෙර රතෙන් දෙනකම් ඒ මේ කට්ටියන් තාම කිසිම පිළිතුරක් නැහැ
අලි දැන් මාස 3ක් විතර අලියා යන්නෙම නැහැ අලි දෙන්නේ 3 දිනක් ඉන්නවා යන්නෙම නැහැ මේකේ උදේ ඉඳලා රැ වෙනකම් මේ ඉඩම් ටිකේ තමයි ගැවසෙන්නේ ඉතින් අපිට එළියටවත් බහින්න බයයි දවල් කාලෙවත් රැ කාලේ.
In news from the courts, the police FCID informed court today that the delay in receiving instructions from the Attorney General has stalled the investigations into a land allegedly owned by Yoshitha Rajapaksa in Mount Lavinia. This information was revealed following a statement made by the Colombo Additional Magistrate stating that the investigations into the case were incomplete.
The Colombo Additional Magistrate instructed the police FCID to carry out the necessary investigations with regard to the land, obtain instructions from the Attorney General and submit facts to court. The magistrate warned Daisy Forrest that she should be present in court only when notices are issued for her. During the last hearing, the magistrate questioned the police FCID on the grounds on which the true perpetrators of the case were being concealed and investigations being carried out against a different individual. In reply, the police FCID informed court today that even though they had forwarded documents to the Attorney General's department with regard to the investigations carried out thus far, they have not received any instructions from the department. Meanwhile, submitting a motion before the Colombo High Court today, Yoshitha Rajapaksa requested for permission to travel overseas. He informed court that he needed to travel to America to receive medical treatment. Yoshitha Rajapaksa is a suspect in a case being examined by the Kadwila Magistrates Court, where he is charged with not being able to declare the source of money used to commence the CSN television channel. On an earlier occasion, the Kadwila Magistrates Court took steps to ban him from travelling overseas. High Court Judge AAR Heyantuduwa ordered that the case be examined once again on the 23rd of this month to learn the stance of the Attorney General with regard to the motion presented.
Sports First was recognized at the Presidential Sports Awards ceremony which is held in this evening at the BMICH in Colombo. Inside Sports, produced by Sports First, won the award for the Best Television Sports Program of the Year. The award was picked up by manager of Sports First, Manju Tenuara.
And before we wrap up, we would like to remind you that an exclusive interview with the EU Ambassador to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Tung Lai Mag, follows in just a moment on BizFirst Review 360.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Primetime News. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Azra Hassan.
It was a pleasure having you with us, and I'm Krishan Devasagayam. Take care and good night.
Counterterrorism bill. We want to see the final product. There may be concerns that are justified, I'm sure. Definition of terrorism. The list of offences seems to be a very long one. GSP plus trade concession. There are no salient failures. There's certainly room for improvement, and that's why we have got the monitoring mechanism.